I thought it might be helpful to take a look at the types of lights that we actually use on the Assurance. The types of lights we use are actually very common on film sets and are available at most rental houses. Perhaps the most common light on a movie set is a Fran L light, most commonly made by a company called ARRI. The term Fran L actually refers to the lens on the front of the light. The lamp actually sits in the fixture behind the lens, and the shape of the light changes slightly as you move the light behind the lens. Now, even though Fran L actually refers to the lens, most of the time the term Fran L refers to tungsten lights. These are hard lights that have a strong throw and get very hot very fast. So be cautious when handling them during use, but also after use for a little while. Now, we usually name Fran Ls by their wattages. This is a 650 that I own, called such because it's 650 watts. 300s are also common. If it's 1,000 watts, we usually call it a 1K. I use these types of Fran Ls a lot during the lighting projects and tests that we'll be looking at throughout this course. We also used a few other random Fran Ls and such on set, such as here in the council scene. Though it's less common, there are also open-face tungsten lights, which is a tungsten lamp that is not covered by a Fran L lens. It's just kind of open. I used one here in the 6 scene, but don't usually use these unless I need a lot of light or more throw to the light. Chris Taylor owns this big old light, which is an HMI. This is also a hard light that has a Fran L lens on the front. However, HMI lights are different than standard tungsten Fran Ls. For starters, HMI lights are daylight balanced instead of being tungsten balanced. But the real magic here is that HMI lights are much more efficient than tungsten lights. Tungsten lights use tons of energy for how much light they give off, and a lot of that power is just creating heat. This is why they're called inefficient. HMI lights use a lot less wattage for the same amount of light and don't generate nearly the same level of heat as a tungsten light would. So, a 1K HMI would be much brighter and bluer than a 1K tungsten light and would generate less heat as well. This is a really big deal in tight spaces. During the shoot with Lucy and Heather, the studio we shot in was so hot that the makeup on our models was literally melting off, and those burning hot tungsten lamps only made the situation worse. Now, fluorescent lights are also really efficient. The most common types of fluorescent lights are made by a company called KinoFlow. Our best boy electric, Daniel Mamura, has 2 of these, and we use them often in the hut scene and also in the night reshoot. KinoFlow lights produce softer light because of their wide surface area, but still have pretty decent throw. The lamps in the fixtures can be daylight balanced or tungsten balanced, or a mixture of the two. You can also get fluorescent lights in a softbox, which I used here in the 6 scene. These aren't very powerful lights, and they're not, frankly, that great, but they're really cheap. They're great when you need just a little bit of fill. Now, we also use one of my favorite types of lighting fixtures, lanterns. Oh, how I love these. It's basically just a light bulb and a cheap lantern. It's so inexpensive, literally under $5 from IKEA. But the softness of the light is absolutely gorgeous. We used a lantern to help light the reshoot of the night scene we did. And I also used a practical lantern in these test shoots with Bitsy that we'll see throughout this course. Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. And while we didn't use them on the Assurance, LEDs are an increasingly popular type of lighting fixture. Now, these are very similar to fluorescents in a lot of ways, in that they give off softer light and they're also really efficient, and they have some pretty decent throw for a soft light. But some LEDs also have the ability to go back and forth between daylight balanced and tungsten balanced light with just the change of a dial. And actually, I'm using an LED right here behind me as my edge light. So hopefully that gets you a little bit more comfortable with the types of lights that we use on our film and also in the lighting tests we did for this course.